Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year! Welcome to my channel and from Frankfurt am Main to the comparison between two heavy but awesome, stunning lenses by Canon. Today we compare the Canon RF 50mm f1.2 with the Canon RF 70 to 200mm f2.8. Why am I doing such a comparison? We will figure that out in this video. If you would like to support my channel, make sure to buy any of these lenses or maybe a memory card for your camera from the link in the video description below. If you have any further questions, please make sure to leave a comment below. And if you're looking for some sample footage taken with any of these two lenses together with the Canon EOS R, EOS R5 or the Canon EOS R6, scroll down to the video description below. There's a link that guides you directly to Google Drive to get some sample images, also in RAW. Make sure, did I say to follow me on Telegram? I think so. Okay, now enjoy this comparison. These are the two lenses. The RF 70 to 200mm 2.8 is significantly lighter than the last EF version at just under 1070 grams. The RF 50mm has become almost 400 grams heavier than the EF version and now weighs 950 grams. It has also become slightly larger and the RF version slightly smaller, but extends when zooming. Both lenses have the same filter diameter of 77mm and are protected against dust and splash water. For the 50mm you have to spend just under $2,400 and the 70 to 200mm cost about $400 more. Both lenses can only be used on Canon's new RF mount. Sorry DSLR friends, the RF 70 to 200mm comes with a tripod clamp that rotates 360 degrees. Since it is an L series, both lenses come with the lens hood and a protective pouch. You can find my recommendations for the appropriate filter in the video description. The 50mm has two switches on the side, autofocus as well as the manual focus and one for the distances. On top the 70 to 200mm has two more for the image stabilizer and a lock switch. The focus ring of the 50mm runs a bit smoother than the one of the 70 to 200mm. The zoom ring of the 70 to 200mm has a very nice resistance and is fully extended to the size of the EF 70 to 200mm, which does not extend. The great thing about RF lenses is the programmable ring. You can set the aperture, ISO, shutter speed, focus point and many other options via the EOS R menu. No EF lens offers this. Only the RF 70 to 200mm is equipped with an optical image stabilizer. This is supposed to compensate up to 5 stops. Let's take a closer look. Why do you need a 50mm fixed focal length and why a 70 to 200mm? I would use the 50mm primarily for portraits, weddings and filming. The 70 to 200mm likewise for portraits, weddings, filming, sports, press and wildlife photography. If you have a completely different idea, make sure to leave a comment below. The strengths of the 50mm are of course the fast aperture and the resulting bokeh, and the 70 to 200mm the flexibility, using its zoom, and of course the bokeh. I can recommend you to use the automatic correction of your camera to minimize the dark edges. With the 70 to 200mm at f2.8 at 70mm you can see almost nothing, but at 200mm and 2.8 you can see even more. The best performance is about f5.6. But it doesn't matter, but with one click in Adobe Lightroom, problem solved anyway. With the 50mm you're looking through a tube at f1.2. That is a lot of vignetting. However, by doing this, you're drawing attention to exactly the point that's important to you. At f2.8 the dark edges have all disappeared. The RF 70 to 200mm suppresses lens flare much better than the RF 50mm, whereas I would say that the flares do quite well with sunsets, but judge for yourself. To 200mm offers you the zoom, and therefore you are much more flexible, but with less stops. The 50mm is much more compact and lets more light through, but you have to be much closer to the action in a church and are more likely to be noticed by the audience. So both lenses have their strengths and weaknesses. If you have the money, buy both. You will definitely get nice portraits with both lenses. In video mode, the 50mm pumps a bit, I noticed. If the face tracking is on and you have a face in front of you that is clearly visible, then you do not have a problem. If you use the mini focus point and the camera doesn't recognize the contrast, then it pumps. I had less trouble using the 70 to 200mm. Filmmakers can still consider themselves lucky. The manual focus runs along very softly and silently. The bokeh is fantastic and the shots can really stand up to Canon 35mm cameras. Finally, as always, the best part is the bokeh. Sure, the 50mm at f1.2 fades out everything that isn't directly on the focus point, but it already blurs out the nose as soon as the focus is on the eyes. The 10 aperture blades create soft and round bokeh balls. The 70 to 200mm has 9 aperture blades, and that also provides very soft bokeh. The further you're in the frame, the nicer the bokeh. Who of you has one or the other lens? I'm curious to know what you use it for and which one is better in your point of view. So why did I make such a comparison? Well, one or the other may only have the money for one or the other and have to decide. I'll put it this way. I made the mistake of going for the 85mm back in the days and ended up thinking, why didn't I get the 70 to 200mm? Simply because I'm much more flexible. If money does not play a role in your life, buy both. They are both great lenses, both are also sharp. The autofocus is a bit faster with the zoom, and in terms of weight, you'll be lugging around a bit more if you opt for the wide lens. Both lenses are stunning at weddings and for filming. The ISO value makes quite a difference when you compare f1.2 and f2.8. The 50mm is just something very fine, and if you only have the money for one lens, you can have a look at my comparison, which will be available soon, between the RF 50mm 1.2 and the RF 50mm 1.8. If the 70 to 200mm would not extend now and the RF 50mm would not have become so big and clunky, I would have given both full marks. I'm curious about your feedback. You will find the link in the video description. Make sure to follow me on Telegram. Tschüss und bis bald aus Frankfurt.